All right, let's take a look then, Larry, at the scoreboard. Let's. She had quite a number of new ones. I don't know if you brought all the new ones into play, but I'll be interested to see what you've come up with.
So, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Does it look okay?
It looks phenomenal.
But as we know, I got hacked, and it's taken a considerable amount of work to get everything back on track.
Yeah.
So September the 6th, 2025, Cathie said, job stumble, now what? And that's the lead.
Yeah.
Job stumble. I mean, the report yesterday was not a good report, which made everybody happy.
Yes.
Because now they think that, too late. What is Trump called?
Yeah, he calls him too late Powell, or yeah.
Too late Powell. Too late Powell may have been too late. I actually think he was too late.
Way too late, yes.
Yeah. So this is the headlines as we learned them, that unemployment rate is steady at 4.3%, which doesn't sound too bad, right?
No, and in fact, I had to correct her in my head because it was actually went up from 4.2 to 4.3.
To 4.3, yeah.
And every economist that I've seen, every single one, this is one thing they agreed on. Anything between 4.1 and 4.3 is fine. Yeah.
I think that's what she really meant, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But non-farm payroll growth, extremely weak.
Yep.
Only 22,000 jobs added. But you and I have spoken again and again on this subject. These numbers are not to be believed, either the high numbers or the low numbers.
We have no idea what it'll be next month.
Exactly right. But the work week dropped 0.5%, which is a significant reduction in hours. I think that's the most worrying part of this particular report.
Yeah.
Manufacturing sector remains negative.
Yep.
And tech sector showing surprising decline, which may be telling us that the AI revolution is real. And, whenever we have these situations where you have new technology coming in, the first impact is down.
Right.
Before the upside of the good side of the revolution comes. But Cathie did have this very interesting slide that I think is somewhat explanatory of what's going on. And she talks about labor force participation versus the velocity of money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am the guy who keeps on saying, look, it's not all about the growth of the money supply.
Right.
It's as much about velocity of money as it is the growth of the money supply.
And this other economist agrees with you, Larry.
Good. So, now that you have the two finest economist minds agreeing that has to be right. So what we've got in the green is the velocity of money, M2, but she shifted it like 18 months, I believe.
Right.
Because the velocity of money actually has an impact 18 months later. And then she's got the labor force statistics, civilian labor force participation rate, women and men 16 years and over. And you see that the velocity of money has trended upwards, and with that has trended up, the participation rate.
Right.
So if you look back over time, you'll see that in times of recession, these gray bars are times of recession. And I don't need to say that every time we look at charts again, but everybody should recognize this means recession. You see this plunge, both in the velocity of money and in the participation rate.
Right.
Which is why I believe we have been through a very significant recession. You see this number here?
For sure.
This is an indication of a very significant recession. And, those that call the recession, I've said this very often on this program, have just failed to recall what has been a very real recession. And this is what we're going through right now. Now, the recession hasn't followed the classical pattern because of the extremes that we've experienced, both the COVID extreme and then the huge injection of pure cash into the economy, both in the end of the Trump administration and completely without cause or justification, the enormous amounts of cash that Biden threw into the economy in two very big slugs. So that, we've seen this big rise and we've seen this, somewhat incremental increase in participation, but look how far behind we still are.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I regard this as being a recessive period, and Cathie calls it a rolling recession. I think it's a recession.
So Larry, you and I have talked about this a million times before, but just to bring people up to date, you and I have talked about two kinds of recessions. We have the Cathie Wood version of it, where she talks about the recession being in three major business categories, which is housing, manufacturing, and transportation. Those three are tied together because with manufacturing being down and housing being down, transportation is naturally going to be down. You're not moving all that product around. So those three have been in recession now for 3.5 years. And the other recession that you and I talk about, as much as I agree with her, and I think you do too, the other recession is the under 100,000 income folks versus the over 100,000. I think pretty much everybody's now getting that. I'm starting to see lots of the economists and pundits starting to talk about this divide you and I have been talking about for 1.5 years.
Yep.
People under 100,000 not doing well. People over 100,000 doing just fine, and it's a big divide. The other thing, Larry, I wanted to bring up on this is that the major corporations and even to some extent the mid caps have been holding on to employees for a very, very, very long time. They were afraid to get back into the problem they had during COVID, and just after COVID, where they couldn't find any employees. So they've been warehousing employees. They've also been warehousing employee openings, job openings that didn't exist.
Yep.
When we see this big drop off in JOLTS, it's partially because people are taking those out now because they no longer need that buffer. And when we see this slight decline in the increase in the unemployment number, it's partially because these companies are allowing attrition to take place of those employees that they otherwise have been hanging on to with dear life.
Not to mention the roll-off of the growth of government.
Yes.
We've seen government, begin to decline for the first time in 4 years. We've seen a very significant drop-off in employment by the government.
Right.
And so I think we're going to see, a sort of double whammy, what you talked about and what I'm talking about. And I think together it has a real impact. And so I think there's a lot more bad news to come on the employment front.
Okay.
So the duration of unemployment is also a deep concern because the current average unemployment duration is now 24.5 weeks, which is a huge increase from 19 weeks in 2022. And it exceeds the typical recession level of 20 weeks. And it's never recovered to the 10 weeks pre-COVID. So there's pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That spikes, the spike that we had with, this is the Treasury yield. Why?
Yeah, she is that your fault? Or she had some problems with her slides, I know. Yeah, that's
no. This is Manus.
Oh, this is a Manus mistake, huh? Okay.
Yeah. I might have the wrong deck. I've had a huge problem. I used Manus to put together the summary and the slide and the deck, and I've been through several iterations with it. But anyway,